Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at a newly released grass Pokemon in the world of Pokemon Go, Gogoat. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, MLG Presto, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now Gogoat, as of this weekend, has been released in the Barcelona Safari Zone. It's not been globally released yet, but it will be globally released at a future time to be named later. It's a pure grass type Pokemon with the moveset of Vine Whip, Leaf Blade, and Brick Break. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Gogoat in action in the Open Great League. Hopping into the first match, picking up a bit of a tricky lead, Shadow A9 into Frostlass. Frostlass is an absolute nightmare for the backline, so it's definitely preferable to see it here, but it's still not the most comfortable matchup for A9 since it is running Powder Snow. Psyshock is going to connect. The Frostlass overfarms and tries to play to the CMP tie, but Shadow A9 is going to overfarm and shield up the Shadow Ball. The nice thing here, if you're the A9, is now, if the opponent wants to get their second Shadow Ball, they're going to have to shield a resisted Weather Ball, and they do just that. They're firing off another charge move here, and we see the double shield from the A9. A9 looking to Powder Snow all the way down, opponent save switches into Swampert, and in comes Gogoat. Gogoat, I believe, is the first Pokemon in Pokemon Go to have access to the Vine Whip and Leaf Blade combination. Leaf Blade, of course, is an incredibly good move, and thanks to it having Vine Whip, it gets to that Leaf Blade very quickly. Leaf Blade is going to KO the Frostlass. In the back, opponent does have Dugong, and Dugong will be hit with the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade is going to grab the final shield from the Dugong. Dugong is going to get the farm down, but bad news for the Dugong. There's a Medicham available in the back. Even though this Medicham isn't fully powered up to 1500 CP, Medicham is still comfortably going to be able to take the win here. Medicham able to make it to the Psychic on the CMP tie with the Dugong. Psychic is going to get Dugong deep into the red. Dugong is going to make one final charge move here. It's the Drill Run, but that's not enough damage, and Medicham will take the win. Moving into the next match, leading Shadow A9 into Shadow Swampert. Pretty neutral matchup. Swampert does have the edge. We see the save switch into Gogoat, and the opponent is going to respond with Gligar. Typically on a team like this, Medicham would be the more consistent save switch, as it does of course have Ice Punch for the Flyers, but since Gligar does have the ground subtyping here, Gligar is going to be taking neutral damage from the Leaf Blade. Gogoat able to withstand the Aerial Ace and make it to Leaf Blade number 2. Leaf Blade is going to get Gligar deep into the red, and Gogoat is able to win switch from the Gligar. In the back is Ready Steel, and Ready Steel will be answered with the Medicham. Medicham at a small energy disadvantage here, so Ready Steel is going to outpace and make it to the Zap Cannon. Zap Cannon does quite a lot of damage. In comes the Swampert, and back in comes the A9. A9 is going to commit a shield here as Swamp fires off the Hydro Cannon. A9 farming up, going for the Weather Ball, and at this point, I mean, you can just let this go, and once this is no shielded, this game is over. Medicham is going to be able to finish out this game. Going for the Weather Ball here into the Swampert. Swampert is going to let that through, and I think the opponent just recognizes that it's over, as they just don't have a way to get rid of the Medicham. It looks like they've actually stopped tapping as well. Going to fire off the Weather Ball, basically just looking to burn the Switch Clock here. Switch Clock is almost up. The opponent starts tapping again, but yeah, there's just no good way to get rid of the Medicham. Ready Steel is an incredibly powerful Pokemon, but in situations like this, where they're not able to lock on down, it's just a really tough spot to be in, and the opponent concedes the match. Moving into the next match, we see very similar leads to last game, Shadow A9, but this time going up against a regular Swampert. A9 going to stay in this matchup to start, but will eventually need to save switch out of here, as if there's a Swampert on the lead, there's almost always going to be some kind of flyer in the back, as that's the most commonly used type when countering grasses. Hydro Cannon will be shielded, going for the Weather Ball, that will be no shielded, farming up, we see a switch into Gogoat, looking for the snipe, but can't get the snipe, and Gogoat is now absolutely walled by the Shadow Charizard switch in. When Gogoat was first data mined, it actually had Rock Slide as its secondary charge move. Rock Slide would genuinely be super interesting, as it would allow Gogoat to be a lot more effective of a pivot. Whereas unfortunately, Gogoat is definitely more of an alignment dependent mon with Leaf Blade and of course the truly terrible secondary charge move of Brick Break. In comes the Ninetales. Ninetales is going to look to go for the one shield farm down here as Blast Burn would absolutely eviscerate the poor Ninetales. Ninetales leaves with energy. Back in comes the Swampert and going to fire off the Weather Ball. Weather Ball would get the KO, so we see a switch into the Medicham to absorb that energy. The counter did go through. That's not going to KO the Swampert though. In the back, it's a Shadow Venusaur going for the Ice Punch. The opponent can survive this Ice Punch. It does quite a lot of damage, but they can survive it, and they're going to let that go. They're looking to double up on energy here. The question is, were they able to get to 2? I believe the answer is no. And they're looking to get to the move, but they cannot get there. They needed to overfarm more versus the Medicham. And against all odds, it's a win. We've got some spice on the lead in the next match, leading Shadow A9 into Charjabug. Charjabug has honestly performed better than I expected after getting the Comde move. It's seen a surprising amount of play in the Open Great League. I guess a lot of teams, I mean this team as well, do run comps that are fairly weak to a Bug Electric type, and with Galvantula being pretty bad, it kind of opens the door for a better Bug Electric type, like in this case, Charjabug. Charjabug baits with the X-Scissor, gets the shield, Weather Ball will be shielded back. A9 continuing to farm. A9 will commit the shield in case they do go for the discharge here, but it's another X-Scissor. Oh, that is really unfortunate. A9 is able to get the farm down, leaving with energy, but down a shield. What does the opponent have in the back here? They're going to send in a Toxicroak. They try and catch the Psyshock onto a Pelipper, and Pelipper is now going to be hit with the Weather Ball. Farming up and firing off Weather Ball number 2 here into the Pelipper. Weather Ball will be shielded. A9 continuing to farm, and A9 makes it to yet another Weather Ball. Weather Ball will KO the Pelipper. In comes the Toxicroak. It will be answered with the Medicham, and the opponent concedes the match. Picking up a positive lead in the next match, Alolan Ninetales into Umbreon, and honestly the entire team does pretty okay into Umbreon. But this Clefable save switch is an issue, as Clefable is lightning fast at spamming out these Meteor Mashes. Immediate shield from the Ninetales. Ninetales would get absolutely obliterated if one of these Meteor Mashes was allowed to connect. Weather Ball will be shielded by the Clefable, going for Weather Ball number 2. My guess is we'll see a no shield from the opponent, and they are going to let that through. Continuing to farm, opponent makes it to another Meteor Mash, and we will see a double shield from the Ninetales. We're now going to see a switch into Gogoat. Gogoat looking for the Vine Whip. Farm down, but cannot get there. Clefable able to hang on, make it to the Meteor Mash, and that does solid damage into the Gogoat. Gogoat able to leave with energy. Gogoat continuing to farm up. Unfortunate timing there. Leaf Blade is going to be the better move to throw, just because Leaf Blade is a really good move. Brick Break is a very bad move, even though it hits for super effective damage. And Leaf Blade also gets same type attack bonus. Continuing to farm with the Gogoat. Will get outpaced here. Umbreon with the massive overfarm will go for the Dark Pulse to secure the KO. In comes Medicham, and in the back is Registeel, so the opponent running a team comp that is ABA weak to counter, and there's a counter user lurking in the back. Psychic will connect. No shields remaining for the Medicham. This Zap Cannon is going to hurt. Zap Cannon connects, but no attack drop. A bit of good luck, and now go for the Ice Punch. If the opponent wants to preserve the Registeel, they're going to have to shield here. They are going to let the Registeel go, however, as Registeel will get farmed down. Back in comes the Umbreon, but Umbreon is just running out of HP. Ice Punch is going to get it too low. They're going to have to commit the shield there, and that's an inefficient use of shields, as now, of course, they're just going to get KO'd with a Weather Ball from the Ninetales. Dark Pulse will get the KO. Ninetales doesn't even need the Weather Ball, as the Powder Snows will get the win. Positive lead in the next match, Shadow A9 into Shadow Venusaur. A9 will be able to outpace in this matchup, but the opponent makes a beautiful catch, catching the Weather Ball onto Lickitung. Going to farm back up with the A9, banking the move for later and sending in Medicham. I really like that play pattern here from this battler, as that way they are allowing themselves to get that energy back, so they won't be at an energy deficit when they have to go up against the Venusaur later in the match. Going for the Ice Punch here. Ice Punch will be no-shielded by the Lickitung. Lickitung will make another Body Slam, but Medicham will be able to survive here. Medicham able to hang on, get the farm down. Can Medicham make it to the Ice Punch? The answer is yes. This will not KO, but it does quite a lot of damage, and the opponent will commit the shield. In comes the Ninetales, and Ninetales will be met with the energy from this Shadow Venusaur. Venusaur full sends the Sludge Bomb. That will be shielded, and now the Weather Ball will be fired back. Weather Ball will be shielded, continuing to farm. Opponent able to make it to another charge move here, but honestly, if you're the Ninetales, you can just shield and farm down. They're out of energy at this point, and in the back, they have Dragonite. Oh no, Gogoat won't even be needed for this game, as Dragonite gets KO'd. In comes the Gogoat. Gogoat will get to battle at the 11th hour and Vine Whip down a Venusaur. Alright, moving to the next match, leading Shadow A9 into Greninja. This is a truly terrible lead. Again, save switching the Gogoat. I would definitely prefer in this team comp to see the Medicham save switch, as Medicham is a lot more flexible. In comes the Registeel, and Registeel is going to be hit with the Leaf Blade from the Gogoat, and now Gogoat is going to start firing off the Brick Break. Brick Break is a truly terrible move, but in this instance, since the Brick Break is single super effective and the Leaf Blade is single resisted, Brick Break is actually the move you want to go for. Opponent baits with the Zap Cannon. It gets no shielded, but they get the attack debuff, and that's a bit unfortunate here, as Brick Break is already not a strong move, and with the debuff, I think Registeel might be able to hang on here and withstand this Brick Break. Brick Break just does not KO. Oh, that's unfortunate. Gogoat making the play for switch advantage here, and Gogoat will get the farm down. Opponent in the back, they have their own Medicham, and Medicham will be met with the debuff Leaf Blade here. Leaf Blade into the Medicham will be no shielded. Medicham is going to get the farm down, and now Medicham is going to have to be answered by the Alolan Ninetales, as with Powder Snow, it can't do anything to the Greninja. Ninetales continuing to farm, going for the Weather Ball, winning CMP over the Medicham here. Weather Ball will be shielded by the Medicham. At this point, you kind of just have to save your shield. Oh my goodness, and I think that's going to be the game here, as Greninja gets the combo play with the Hydro Cannon. They actually go for the Night Slash, a misclick by the opponent. And now we see a switch into the Medicham. Medicham able to catch the Night Slash there. But in that situation, saving the shield for the Medicham is going to be the preferred play, as Medicham is the key to victory here. Medicham can do very well against both the Greninja and the opposing Medicham, whereas unfortunately using the shield on the Ninetales, which is the least valuable Mon remaining, is going to mean that Medicham is going to be able to make the Psychic here, and Psychic will secure the victory for the opponent. For the final two matches, I believe the team is switched up a little bit. We're now in the daytime, leading Gogoat, and instead of Medicham, there is Toxicroak. Gogoat farming up, going to win CMP over the Gligar as it fires off the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade is going to connect into the Gligar. Gligar returning fire with the Aerial Ace. We know Gogoat is able to withstand this damage. Gogoat trying to make it to another Leaf Blade and gets there. So Gogoat able to do surprisingly well in the Zero Shield versus Gligar. Leaf Blade will be shielded. Opponent is going to take switch advantage. In comes the Ninetales, and the Ninetales is now running Charm. Ninetales is going to commit the shield. Opponent goes for the Aerial Ace, hoping they can make it to 2, but they cannot, as the Charm will get the KO. What do they have in the back? Gligar is out of the way. In comes Swampert. And honestly, here's where having Gogoat would be really nice, but unfortunately it was taken care of by the Gligar. Weather Ball will be shielded, continuing to farm. We see a switch into the Toxicroak, and in the back, the opponent has a Charjabug. Charjabug going to be taking neutral damage from the Mud Bomb. Mud Bomb is going to connect. Charjabug is quite bulky. Toxicroak farming up and winning CMP. Opponent playing to the CMP tide that they do not win. Mud Bomb is going to nearly get the KO of the Charjabug. Charjabug is going to fire off the Discharge. Discharge will get the KO, and they have the back-to-back moves here. Ninetales is going to let this through, as Discharge, of course, would do a lot less than a move from the Swampert, but the Swampert has a lot of energy stored. We see the shield of the Hydro Cannon. Alolan Ninetales cannot make it to the Weather Ball, as Swampert, just so spammy, is able to take that game. Hopping into the final match, and we see the Dream Lead, Shadow A9 into Shadow Dragonite. Opponent is now going to save switch into Medicham, and Medicham will be answered with the Psyshock. Both Psyshock and Weather Ball do hit for neutrals. Psyshock, I believe, does do slightly more damage. Oh, this is a pup Medicham, I believe. They lagged a little bit when they brought in, but I believe I saw just the 5 counters, so it is a pup Medicham. Going for another Psyshock here. Psyshock into the Medicham will be double shielded, and now we see a switch into the Gogoat, and the opponent just going straight for the power-up punch here, just ramping up the counter damage more and more, and the counter is starting to shred through Gogoat here. Firing off the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade, again, a pretty solid move. That's going to connect into the Medicham. Medicham just going straight for the power-up punch. They're saying, you know what? I'm countering through absolutely everything. Gogoat with a fraction of HP, able to make one final Leaf Blade, and that will finally get rid of the Medicham. So that Medicham went on an absolute rampage. Back in comes the Dragonite. Dragonite will be answered with the Ninetales. Ninetales shredding through the Dragonite, and we will see a shield of the Ninetales as Dragonite goes for the Dragon Claw. Opponent in the back. Oh, they have Trevenant, and they are so weak to ice. Weather Ball deals massive damage Trevenant gets the farm down, but Trevenant will get countered down by the Toxicroak, and that's a good game. All in all, Gogoat is a Pokemon that has a ton of potential in the Open Great League, but unfortunately, as long as it's stuck with Brick Break as its second charge move, it's not really going to see a lot of use. As I mentioned earlier, when it was first data mined, its second charge move was Rock Slide. If it gets Rock Slide back in the future, it could legitimately be a pretty solid grass type option for the Great League and the Ultra League. As far as the Great League goes, I don't see it unseating Serperior, even if it gets Rock Slide. Serperior just is the king of the grass types, and Venusaur is a pretty close second, but it could be a pretty solid, I'd say B tier option below Serperior and Venusaur, but still a pretty solid Pokemon that has interesting coverage if it got Rock Slide. So once it does get the global release, I do believe it's a Pokemon that it's probably worth grabbing and holding on to because it could definitely benefit from a future move update. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated, so thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.